Welcome back to another video, and if you are feeling overwhelmed and unqualified at work, then this is going to be a really helpful video for you because I'm going to share 3 strategies that you can apply that were all just kind of inspired by a recent coaching session that I had with one of my clients. So here's what kind of inspired this, because in these coaching sessions that I work with a lot of high performers, entrepreneurs who are going after big things, but they feel a little isolated and they feel like they're held back by some mental blocks. And so in the sessions, what I do is we build on their wins, we ask about their action items, and then I ask them, like, what is something that you're currently struggling with or held back by? And one of the things that one of my recent clients talked about is he is feeling just overwhelmed with the level of work that he's being asked to take on. So he is an engineer and he feels like he's currently in an E1. He has a desire to like move up and to get promoted and to be leading a team. And right now he feels like he's currently being asked to work on like E3 level work. So it's above what his current level is. There's a lot of work. And so he's starting to feel a little bit overwhelmed by the work, but also by the type of work. And if you're watching this or if you're listening to the podcast version, maybe that's where you are too, where you just feel like you're taking on so much, you're under a lot of pressure, you're in a stressful, competitive environment. And so you can probably relate to this. So the question is, how do you overcome it? So I get DMs all the time from people who just feel overwhelmed and they are just unsure of like how to overcome it. So what we're going to talk about today are 3 different things that I helped my client apply to help him overcome this. And the first thing is to reframe. And so one of the best questions that you can ask in a situation like this is, let's pretend that somebody else was in your situation and they're at the same level and they came to you with the same problem. What advice would you give to them? And that's the question that I asked my client in our session this week. And what he said is, if somebody came up to me and they said that they were overwhelmed with the level of work, what he would say is, hey, you are better than you think. You're never going to be perfect. And just make sure that you get it about 85% of the way there, and then just send it. Just release the work, like submit the work, put it out there. Because he said that a lot of times what he struggles with is like making sure that it's like 100% perfect so that he doesn't make the mistake, and because he doesn't ultimately trust himself. So when he gave that advice to somebody else, to like an imaginary friend or a hypothetical scenario, he came up with the right answers that he can apply to himself. And those are the exact same things that I asked him. And I said, well, how can you apply that advice to yourself? And that was like a really helpful reframe for him, because whenever you are giving advice to somebody else, it's almost easier to just see their situation and give them advice rather than see your own situation and be attached emotionally to everything that is going on. And if you are feeling overwhelmed with your current role, with trying to get promoted, with your business, with trying to get it to the next level, then I want to share that advice with you. Like, you are better than you think. And if you're somebody who struggles with perfectionism, like, you're never going to be perfect. Like, it's never going to be perfect. Perfection doesn't really exist. What you need to do is just show up as you are, put it out there, and try your best. And ultimately, if you have a growth mindset, if you're learning, you learn from every situation, and that is actually what helps you make progress in the long term. So if you're in that position, I hope that advice helps. So that was the first thing that we talked about to help him kind of reframe his situation and help him like build that confidence. But the second thing that we did is we started to build evidence for what is true. And so when we looked at the thought of, man, I'm just overwhelmed because I feel unqualified, then what I asked him is like, why are you qualified? Why, like, what are all of the reasons why you are actually, like, you actually belong? What are all of the reasons why you are the right person for that role? and we started to come up with answers. Like he has a mechanical engineering degree, which was one of the hardest degrees out there. He feels like he has grown so much from the time that he started to where he's at. He has overcome a lot of adversity. He's been thrown in the fire and he's come out and he's survived. And every single time he's been put into a challenging situation, he feels like he's figured it out. And so those are all things that are true. And so when I asked him, like, hey, how does it feel when I tell you all these things about yourself? He said, it actually feels pretty good. And that's because it's true. And we actually build up a lot of confidence by just stating what is true. And this is a big thing that Alex Hormozi talks about. Like, you don't become confident by just shouting affirmations in the mirror. You become confident by becoming like doing the things that you say that you do, and by building the evidence for who you are and what you can actually accomplish. And so that was like a really big thing to help him build that confidence. So I had him reframe the scenario, giving advice to a friend, had him build confidence for what's true. And then the last part was we started to prepare his response ahead of time for the next time that he feels a little bit overwhelmed or a little bit unqualified at work. Because when you have like self-doubt, when you have overwhelm, when you have these mental blocks that are holding you back, you need to prepare ahead of time for what is going to happen. You need to have a response to that little voice in your head that is holding you back. And so what I had him do is create kind of like a resilience card or a confidence card for the next time that he's put in a work situation where he feels overwhelmed or unqualified. He's going to pull out this sheet. It's probably going to be a digital version. Mine is digital as well. And it's just reminders for him. Hey, I want to remind you that you have a mechanical engineering degree. You've been thrown in the fire. You overcome adversity. I want to remind you that what you need to do is you need to get it 85% of the way and then just send it. You need to trust in yourself. Like, you're better than you think. You're closer than you think. So that the next time he gets in that situation, he can just quickly, that can be a reminder to him to read through that card and that list, and then he can confidently move forward with the next step. So it's really just kind of having a plan for adversity, because if you're watching this, you're likely in that competitive, stressful environment. You're maybe an entrepreneur, you're a high achiever, you've got a lot of pressure on you. And I see that. I've been there. And so what this means is you need to have a plan for how you're going to overcome that adversity. And it needs to be something that actually feels good, something that's true, and something that resonates with you. And this is the exact process that you can use to overcome it as well. So just to recap, there were 3 things that you can do the next time you feel that overwhelm, you feel unqualified. The first is to reframe and ask yourself, if somebody else were in my shoes and they were in my position, they were struggling with the same thing, what advice would I give to them? Write that down, give them advice. The second thing is build evidence for who you are and for why you belong. So the next time you feel like unqualified, flip it, ask yourself, why do I actually belong? Why am I qualified? Come up with an answer there. And then the last thing is to put it together in some sort of way that you can revisit it the next time this situation pops up. And then that way you have a prepared response ahead of time for adversity. So these are just 3 things that you can use to help you overcome the unqualified feeling and the overwhelm that you experience at work. And I strongly, I want to challenge you today to actually go through these things and do it. Don't just watch this video or listen to this podcast and then just make a mental note of it, because 99% of the time you're going to forget, you're going to move on, you're going to have other things going on. And so I just want to challenge you to actually complete it, because I really believe that these are the types of things that can change everything for you. And if you are the type of person that you want to take massive action, you want to take that next step, then go ahead and book a call with me, and we can talk about how I can help you level up, remove those mental blocks, and step into the best version of yourself. So I'll put the link in the description. Appreciate you, and I'll see you all in the next one.